here, you're moving here, and you want to have a party and it's in your apartment building, you need to let your neighbors know. Otherwise, they might be a little upset, which I learned from a lady dumping a bucket of water into my apartment. Just have a heads up on that one. Now, another time you might...
What? What's up, guys? It's Dwayne, back again for another video, back again for a reaction, and today is a great, wonderful, beautiful, amazing, delicious day because it's a Germany day. Ugly tourists in Germany, how to upset Germans. Without further ado, let's get into this reaction. Let's go.
Hey there, fellow travelers, Mark here with Walter's World, and today we're in Freiburg, Germany, and today we're going to talk about how you could upset Germans when you come here as a traveler, because we want to make sure we're ingratiating ourselves to the locals.
I don't want to upset any of you.
And we don't want to do the faux pas that might make our German friends a bit ärgerlich, a little upset, okay? And I think the first thing you need to realize, the first way you can upset a German is just being late. Germans are all about being pünktlich, about being on time. If you have a meeting and it's at 9 o'clock in the morning, that doesn't mean you show up at 9. That means you're in the office, you're in the room where the meeting's going to happen at 8:55. So right at 9 a.m.
Efficient. That's what is definitely the stereotype of Germans. You're very efficient, and being late is not good. I get that. I'd get that. It's very similar to, is it the Finns? I think it's the Finns. I think in Finland they're like that as well, and maybe in Sweden, in Scandinavia, I think they're like that as well. But especially Germans, you guys are very.
The questions start going, okay? So always be on time. And if you're going to be late, let the people know, because one, they're not going to be appreciative that you're late, but they will want to know what's going on. Now, another thing that might upset your German friends is if you get a little jeiny, okay? Which I like to say is jein is yes and no, ja and nein put together, okay? It's kind of like, yeah, no, I'm not sure. Look, Germans do not like uncertainty. They do not like risk. They want to know what's going on. They want the certainty of, are you coming or not? And if you're kind of flippy-floppy, if you're thinking about...
So you don't like flippy-floppy people. You don't like indecisive people. It's either yes or no. You like, let me know. I need to know so I can plan ahead. I get it. I get it.
About ghosting your German friends, that stuff doesn't happen here, okay? You need to be more like, yes, I'm going to do it, no, I'm going to not, because if you're not, that kind of upsets them, because they want to make sure all their plans are set, okay? And I think one of the things that's important for you to know is, since the Germans are very direct, they're not insulted if you're direct to them. So if you don't want to do something or you can't do something, don't try to figure out an excuse, just let them know, hey, I can't come, and they'll be okay with that. But just telling them yes and then not showing up, the whole ghosting thing, not cool here in Germany, okay? So have a heads up. Now, the third way you can upset Germans when you're here is if you assume that everybody in Germany is from Bavaria and wears lederhosen. Look, people wear lederhosen at Oktoberfest, and most of those are actually tourists, okay?
Do people really think that? Come on now. Do you know, I could see an American thinking that, but a Brit would never think that. Because, I mean, like, it's not like we're walking around in, what they wear? The traditional Morris dancers in England, in old England, and they wear, like, weird stuff. And it's not like Scottish people walk around wearing kilts all the time, you know? Like, duh, should know that. But I'm guessing some people don't know that, which is ridiculous.
Germany is a very diverse country. I mean, going to Munich and Bavaria is a very different experience than going to Hamburg or coming here to Freiburg or going to Berlin. You have such variety in this country that when they think that people are thinking they're all the same and they're all Bavarians with the big beer steins and stuff, that doesn't go over very well. And if you actually know Germans, you'll know that if they're not from Bavaria, they like to make fun of the Bavarians. Now, another thing that tourists do that might upset the locals, and it definitely will upset a few omas, grandmas, and opas, grandpas along the way, is if you jaywalk. And when I talk about jaywalking, I'm not saying like the middle of the road. I'm saying when you're at the crosswalk and the little Ampelmännchen, the street light guy is there telling you don't walk, and you go. I mean, I lived in Germany for a number of years, and when I've done that,
okay,
like, people really put their arm out and stop me, and they're like, what are you doing?
Wow. People actually put their hand out and like, no. So you like correcting people. Oh, it's interesting. It's interesting. That would never happen in the UK. Like, never. Like, if you jaywalked, it's like, yeah, you might get like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. Like, people think, oh, you shouldn't have done that. But no one says, like, no one like actually stops someone else. Unless you're a kid. We'll stop a kid from just like jaywalking, but not an adult. Like, I don't know. That's interesting. What do you do if you're on a traffic, like, at a traffic lights and the green man, or the green, to say go, is not flashing, it's saying you should stop, but there's no cars either on your right or on your left. Do you still just stand there until the light says go? I'm guessing so if you don't jaywalk. That's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. Do you know where else is like that I've been in the world, like you guys? If you've ever been to Hong Kong in China, they're like that as well. Jaywalking is very much frowned upon. If you go without, they'll stand there until the light says you can go. Very obedient. So it sounds like you're quite similar to like Hong Kong in China. That's my only point of reference. But it's interesting. It's cultural. It's interesting. And I like it because it's safe. And I read in my last video that you want to be a good role model for children, which makes a lot of sense. If a child sees someone jaywalking, if a child sees someone running out into the road, a child's going to do what they see. So I completely get it. In the UK, it's more, we get taught the highway code, as we call it. We get taught when, traffic lights mean to stop and when to go. And because we get taught that, there's an expectation in the UK that everyone knows what the rules are. If you choose to break the rules, then that's on you. But everyone knows what the rules are. And even though everyone sees the person, running across the road and like, tisk, tisk, tick, it's more like a silent judgment, No one wants to be that person. So, yeah, it's kind of, we put the onus on the individual rather than a collective shame, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's different. It's just different culturally. Like, I don't know. It's interesting, though.
Sei ein Vorbild für die Kinder. Be an example for the children. I'm like, there's no kids around here. There's no cars. What's going on? No. Follow the rules. Otherwise, they're going to be upset. And crossing the street against the light is one of those things. There's even a saying, bei Rot musst du stehen. Bei Grün darfst du gehen. Which is, by red, you have to stay. But by green, you're allowed to go. All right? So just know that. Young, old, male, female, whatever. You just know the Germans are like, no, we're going to wait until the light lets us go. Okay? Another thing that might upset your German friends when you're here, and this is one thing that my students that have studied in Germany have brought up to me, and when I've had students that work with German exchange students, and that is, you might upset them if you don't agree with them on certain things, because Germans like to do a lot of research. They want to make sure they know as much as they can before they make decisions, so they feel that they have the best answer possible. Okay. And if you don't agree with them, they don't understand why you wouldn't, because they've done all this research. So that's where I've seen in business settings and group project settings where people have gotten some upset feelings from both the Germans and from the locals. So just have a heads up with that.
Interesting. So if you've done the research or you feel you're very knowledgeable on a certain subject and you put a point across and someone else doesn't agree with the point that you've put across, you guys get, I'm not generalizing, but this is what he's saying. Let me know if this is true. That a lot of Germans get upset that the other person doesn't agree with their point. That's quite, that's kind of similar to how I... My partner would say that's what you're like, because I am very much like, if I feel like I'm knowledgeable on something and I make a point and then I get like opposition to my point, it's like, well, I've had this lived experience, I've done the research, like, why don't you believe what I'm telling you? So I get that. It sounds like I'd get into a lot of heated debates with Germans, but I enjoy a good debate. So I think for me, that would work for me. Actually, would it work for me? You need someone that's going to concede at some point. Or maybe Germans do. Maybe you do concede if you feel the other person is knowledgeable. Interesting. Again, a cultural thing.
With that, but don't think the Germans are all stiff and no fun. They will do parties, and they will have a fun time with the party. And one thing I want to tell you, though, is you might upset people if you don't follow the party rules, okay? Because if your German friend of yours invites you to a party, they're inviting you, Not you and your friend and your other friends. No. It's very much just you are invited. There's no +1. If you want a +1, you need to ask them, and they'll probably say no, okay, or 9. But just know that
that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. I don't like people that bring +1s. If I don't know you, you're not invited. No. I think it's polite to, if you want to bring someone else. If I've invited, say, my friend Paul, I'm just making a name up. I say, Paul, we're going for drinks at this time on Wednesday. Come along. And then he comes along and he brings 2 friends with him. I'll be like, I didn't invite them. Like, I invited you. Like, I don't know these people. Like, will I get along with them? Like, I don't know them. I don't like that. However, if Paul says, oh, yeah, I would love to come. Is it okay if I bring Sarah and Janet? I don't know why it's 2 women, and I don't know why they're called Sarah and Janet. But for example, he just says, I'm going to bring 2 people. If I'm okay with it, I'll be like, yeah, of course you can. It's fine. The more the merrier. But if I'm not okay with it, I'm like, oh, no, well, I was just going to be me and you. Like, I needed to speak to you about this thing that's personal. Then that's the better way to go about it. But you don't just bring someone along with you. Maybe a +1 is maybe a very American thing. So maybe that's why he's like, yeah, you can't bring +1s without telling them. I would think it's just polite to ask if you wanted to bring someone. But if someone invited me, I wouldn't just think it's okay to bring a +1. The only exception, I think, to the rule is if you are married. If you're married, your wife or your husband should be able to come along to something where you're invited individually because you come as a pair. I don't know. Let me know if that's acceptable in Germany. Let me know in the comment section if a married couple would be acceptable. If you invite one and they bring the other, let me know.
that they're very specific when they do ask you to come to a party, okay? So don't overdo it. Also, I learned this when I lived here for a number of years, is if you're going to be having a party, let's say you're staying here, you're going to school here, you're moving here, and you want to have a party and it's in your apartment building, you need to let your neighbors know that you're going to have that party. I mean, you don't have to invite them, but you need to let them know it's going to happen. Otherwise, they might be a little upset, which I learned from a lady dumping a bucket of water into my apartment. So just have a heads up on that one. Now, another time you might...
What? Wait, what? Wait, wait, what? Whoa. What does he mean? What does he mean by that? That was just like, you just dropped that. So hold up. He had a party. So this is what okay, this is my stance anyways. I would never have a party in an apartment block without informing my neighbours that it's going to happen, because that's just considerate. You just don't, it's considerate. You should get permission because you're living in a shared building, and it's not okay to be really loud. Like, people work from home now as well. Like, it's just not okay. However, if I did throw a party and I forgot or something, or maybe not a party, maybe I had some friends around and we had drinks and it got a little bit loud, and it's before 10 o'clock, so it's not an unreasonable time. If someone took a bucket of water and threw it into my apartment, I would be mortified. What do you mean? That is aggressive. Very, very aggressive. Tell me that's not what most Germans are like in the sense of very confrontational, because that's how he's painted it just then. Scary. She threw a bucket of water. I need to hear that again.
Know it's going to happen. Otherwise, they might be a little upset, which I learned from a lady dumping a bucket of water into my apartment. So just have a heads up on that
insane.
one. Now, another time you might see an upset German, and this isn't your fault at all, this is their fault, is if you're taking a train on a Friday or a Sunday when they're really, really busy, and you have a seat reservation, and you go to your seat reservation on the ICE, and somebody's sitting in that seat. And you tell them, Entschuldigung, das ist meins. Like, excuse me, this is mine.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not going to be happy because they got this seat and they're figuring no one's going to show up in it, so they're going to take it without a reservation. Don't be surprised if they ask you to show your reservation to prove it's your seat, and then they'll look at you like, oh, you took my seat. No, lady, didn't take your seat. I spent the €4 to get the reservation, all right? So
That happens in the UK as well, in the sense of if no one turns up into a reserved seat, people tend to be a bit cheeky and be like, oh, I'm going to sit on there anyways because I don't want to stand. And then if someone comes, and the thing with British people, this is where we'll clash, I think. Because he said that the woman was like, I want to see your reservation before I get up and allow you to have the seat. The thing in Britain, British people love to get on a train and someone sat in their reserved seat. And they love to smugly take out the ticket. I don't know why I took it out of a bra section like it's a woman, but maybe. Oh man, take out the ticket and be like, excuse me, you're sat in my seat. Can you get up, please? Brits love that. Brits love telling people to get out of their seats. And then obviously Germans love to sit in seats and then ask to see reservations. This is where the clashing would happen. Because Brits are very smug. Like, yeah, can you remove yourself out of my seat, please? That's interesting. It's quite funny. But I do think, you know, if you're sat in someone's seat and it's reserved, and you know it's reserved, you need to remove yourself, and you shouldn't really dig your heels in and be like, oh, I would like to see your reservation. It's like, it's a reserved seat. If someone comes and says that it's a reserved seat, you need to get up. You should get up, you know? Just wasting time.
So do have a heads up for that. Now, sometimes you don't even realize you're upsetting people when you travel, and that's okay. And the Germans have a fantastic way of letting you know that you messed up. And that's when you hear, hallo. When you hear someone say hallo really loud, I mean, if it's soft, it's hello, it's like hello. But if it's hallo, it's like hello, moron. You're doing something wrong. Whether you went in the wrong door at a museum, or you're in the wrong bathroom, or you're doing something you're not supposed to, or your kids are doing something stupid. Look, that hello will let you know that you upset somebody, all right? So just have a heads up when you hear that, because you'll be like, what's something here? It's just a way they get your attention, all right? Now, another thing you might do that might hurt your German friends' feelings is insinuate that they're cheap. Now, Germans are cool if you say they're frugal, they're economical, no problem with that. But if you insinuate that they're cheap, that's when they're like, hey, we're not cheap, we've got money. I'm like, I know. But the thing is if you talk to, you know, in Canada and the US, you talk to waiters about tipping, they don't like German tourists because they don't tip as well. Now, they leave some money, but they don't usually leave the...
You don't have to worry about your cousins, us Brits, thinking you're cheap, because we don't tip waitresses either. Unless they're amazing, and then we tip. So don't worry about that. We don't think you're cheap.
Leave the 50 to 20% like you're supposed to. They'll leave like 5% or $3 on a $100 bill, you know? So it is one of those things that if you insinuate like, dude, that's kind of cheap, you'll see them be upset. And I'm sure in the comments below, you'll see those things there. Or you might invite them over to a party, like, hey, you know, we're all bringing a potluck over.
No, what it is Americans, you need to pay your waitresses a fair wage. You know, that's why you have a tipping culture in your country, because your employers don't pay your employees a fair wage. So then you end up footing the bill for that employee. So yeah, we don't have a culture of tipping because our waitresses and our service, what's the word I'm looking for? Our waitresses and waiters in the service industry get paid a fair wage. Took a long time.
Bring some food, and they might show up with some Maggi spaghetti instead of something else. So don't insinuate they're cheap. It won't go over well.
Yeah, I would be so offended. Sorry, I'd be so offended if an American turned around to me and said I was cheap. I'm like, excuse me, I'm not cheap. It's just that you don't, just. Yeah, anyways, let's not continue. But I would get annoyed as well if an American told a Brit that they were cheap. It's a problem.
Just say very economical choice, very frugal choice, smart business move. Okay, so
frugal.
Have a heads up with that. Now
it's
another
not frugal. We just pay if the service is good. If the service isn't good, if the service is not exemplary, if the service is not amazing, then you're not going to get an amazing tip. You know, we don't need to tip. Sometimes you don't even need to leave anything. If it was just bog standard, if it was average, you don't even need to leave a tip. And I don't think the waitresses or waiters would feel slighted because of that, or feel like the customer's cheap because of that. I don't know. Let me know what your tipping etiquette is like in Germany in the comment section.
Thing that you'll learn very quickly is a way you're going to upset your German friends is if you try to take their food or their drink. Because you know, in some countries when you order food, like everybody's food's kind of everybody else's and we can try this. Like we're in Italy, like, oh, try this, have some of this, have some of this polenta. Portugal, it's like every plate is everybody's, right? In Germany, it's not that way. That's my bratwurst. That is my spätzle. That is my beer. You don't get it. And so if you go and take some, especially without asking, it's going to upset them. And even if you do ask,
well, yeah, I mean, who takes their fork and goes and tries something without asking? That's rude. I'd be annoyed too. If I've purchased something, if I've bought something, if I wanted a pizza and my friend orders a lasagna and then they go and try and take a slice of my pizza without asking me, I'm going to be very annoyed. Like, maybe in America that's what they do and they all like put their fingers in each other's food, but that's really rude and I don't like that. So I'm with you guys. However, I would offer sometimes, a lot of times I offer, it's like, oh, try this, do you want to try some? And then, you know, just offer it because that's what you do. I've been in various parts of Asia, and in Asia it's very much, when you go to a restaurant, it's almost like a banquet buffet on a table. They'll all order loads and loads of different dishes, and they'll all arrive at different times on the table, and everyone's taking little bits of each dishes. It's very different. But in the UK, we're very much like, yeah, individual dishes. We're the same as Germans, to be honest.
you ask, they say yes. Just know in their mind, they're
Same
like,
as you guys.
Ich wollte nein sagen. I wanted to say no, but they were very polite and said yes. So just know they don't like sharing their stuff, okay? If you've gotten this far in the video, another thing you might notice that Germans might not like and that you might upset them with is if you point out any of the eccentricities of the Germans and German culture. So look in the comments below and you'll notice some comments of people like pointing out some things I'm messing up and how they're going to be right about it, okay? Now another way you might upset Germans when you come here is if you recycle wrong. I mean, I lived here a number of years and the recycle program here is legit. The Grüne Punkt, it's like this little like arrow going around, it's called the green point. They have lots and lots of different kinds of recycling here. So it's not just paper and plastic, it's paper, plastic, glass, different kinds of glass, all kinds of stuff that's out there. They have that set up and people are very serious about it. So you want to make sure you're putting the right stuff in the right recycle bin and the right garbage going in the right place, because they do a really good job with that, and it really upsets people when you don't. And there's things economically that will get you to incentivize you to make sure recycling correctly, because they have these things called a fund, a deposit, like on beer glasses beer glasses, but like beer bottles and soda bottles and stuff like that. So you don't just throw it away, you take it back, get your money back, so they can recycle it easily.
Yeah, I literally had like a mini orgasm. Sorry. When I heard about it, I was like, wow, that's amazing. Like, I don't know why in the UK we haven't adopted it yet. I keep saying this, but I just think it's incredible. The recycling thing is just, I'm just like, what? Why? I don't know. It's amazing. Well done.
Easier, okay? So be aware of that one. Now, my next one for you that might upset the Germans when you're here is if you drive in Germany not like a German. Look, Germans are very much, we're about our Auto, our car, right? And so they've got the Autobahn. When they're going way faster than you think you are, so move over, because you staying in the left lane, that Indiana drivers, you can't do that here in Germany. You got to stay to the right, because people will pass you by. No matter how fast you think you're going, someone else is going to zoom past you in a Porsche, a BMW, or Mercedes, all right?
Wow.
And the Germans do get upset when people don't drive the German way when they're here. So I do recommend maybe take a class about driving or watch some videos on driving in Germany before you come, because then you'll be better prepared and less likely to upset and get, not necessarily road rage, but just upset Germans driving next to you. And also,
Interesting. Driving etiquette's different as well.
So don't expect a really good cup holder for your big gulp in a German car, and they don't understand why, okay? So leave that there, all right? And then I want to finish off by another thing that really upsets Germans, and that is if you make Nazi jokes, okay? The history of Germany and the Nazi.
Come on. Who's doing that though? Who's doing that? Like, that is that's distasteful. Like I would never, like never do that. Like who's doing that? Is that there's literally people coming to Germany and thinking it's okay to make those types of jokes. It's not okay to make those types of jokes. It's not okay to make those types of jokes in the UK anymore. I think back in the days, like 40s, 50s, even early 60s, there were a lot of sitcoms and things taking the mick out of, and obviously in, you know, taking the mick out of, and the 40s, taking the mick out of Nazis and stuff like that. But it's just not acceptable now. Like, it just wouldn't be acceptable to have that shown anywhere. Because, you know, especially our two countries, especially Germany and especially England, Britain, it's a very sore subject. It's a very sore past, and nobody wants to offend anyone. You know, it's horrible. You just don't. I can't believe people actually still do that. That's insane. Or do they? Let me know in the comment section below. It's insane.
See, National Socialist Party that was in power here for a number of years, in World War II and the Holocaust and everything, it is a stain on the world history, not just German history, but the world's history. And if you make light of that, you make Nazi jokes, you make Hitler jokes and stuff like that, that does not go over well here. People do not like that. That is something that they're ashamed of themselves. And you may think it's a fun joke, I'm poking fun at things. It's not. It is not something that you joke about when you are here, okay? Because that will upset the locals, and I just want you to know that, all right? So those are some ways that you might upset your German friends when you're here in Germany. But what are some ways you've accidentally upset some of your German friends? Let us know in the comment section below. Also,
I don't have any German friends. Will you be my German friend? I don't have any German friends, actually. But you know what it is? Every German, and I'm not just saying this because I've just started this channel, every German person I've met, I've really got along. I've met some really lovely German people. Maybe I've just been really lucky, but I've just met some just really nice German people. Like, I've had some really good, deep conversations, sat down, very intelligent conversations. Every German person I've met has been highly, highly intelligent. And I love that. I'm really like interested to like speak to. So yeah. Will you be my German friend? I would like some German friends. I'm gonna make German friends on this journey, especially when I go and visit Germany, which is absolutely going to happen. These are the countries that I need to go and visit, right? I have Sweden, I have Finland, Norway, I'll probably go to as well, and Germany. So far on my European tour, these are the countries I really want to visit, and I can't wait. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Until the next one, I will see you soon.